as a teacher and a coach, I constantly have to reset people's views about grades because the truth is the only really bad grade is an F. It means you failed. Everything else is just a level of competency. How much do you understand the material that you were taught? But when it comes to the NFL draft, fans treat anything less than an A as a failure, and that's a problem. Most NFL draft coverage tells you about who got picked and then assigns a grade. That's the easy part. It's harder and a lot more useful to have this question. What does success actually look like for the player when should you expect to see it? Because in the NFL, development happens in stages. And if you don't understand those stages, you'll call a player bust way too early. So before we even talk about players, here's the lens I want you to have. A, B, C, D, E, and F. A clear, no doubt starter or a perfect fit for the system. B, likely going to be a starter with strong value. C, it's a solid move, but is going to need some development. D, a little bit of questionable in terms of fit or value. And then F, just flat out missed it. And here's the key I want you to understand. Most draft classes should live in about the B to C range because the NFL isn't built on perfect picks. It's built on functional rosters. The NFL draft for the Panthers isn't built on the Panthers draft class wasn't built to impress you in April. It may be fun to think about, but it's not. It's built so that the team doesn't fall apart in October and beyond. This is a draft class. This is a draft class that can have some potential and grow with this growing team. It isn't a draft for the draft night. It's a draft for, again, Saturdays, Sundays, on Thursdays as well. I mean, it's a draft class for Sundays in November. So how do you evaluate these players? Well, it comes in developmental stages. Stage one, you show the early signs. What does camp look like? What do the OTAs look like? When he is in the game or in preseason, how does it look? Functional value. Can they play without hurting the team? And then lastly, the real impact. Becoming a reliable starter is what you should want for every single one of your draft picks. That's how we're going to evaluate this class. For the first pick in the first round, Monroe Freeling from Georgia. I gave him a B-, solid pick. The pick is about protecting the most important person, unfortunately, in the roster, which is Bryce Young. Freeling just allowed 3 sacks and 9 pressures in college. He is a strong foundation for the Panthers. But in the NFL, the question is simple. Was that technique or was he just able to recover? Because he does have some athleticism in him. He constantly got better as the season went along. And so he's not a perfect finished product right now, but the plan is that he's able to take what he did in Georgia and elevate it as the season goes along. Looking at Freeling, he's going to have to do a better job of anchoring against power. He's going to have to clean up some of that hand placement and just be able to win early with his reps. The timeline for him should be starting on, he's got to compete for the reps. He's going to have an opportunity with Icky coming off the injury, Walker also being a new addition at the tackle spot, and Morton being on the roster, but it's looking like the Panthers may not sign him long term. So he's going to have an opportunity. Then the next step is functionally. The offense doesn't change when he's in. Hopefully it's sooner than later. Hopefully by the start of the first preseason game in Canton when they play the Cardinals, he is the penciled-in starter and he plays really well. And then lastly, the impact. He becomes the clear, no doubt starting tackle, preferably left, but hopefully he can – but I wouldn't be mad if he was the right tackle as well. Either way, he becomes a clear starter for the Panthers. And if he's playing and you don't hear his name, That's a good thing. And every offensive lineman will tell you, as soon as your name or number constantly gets called, you will have the opportunity for your name or number to be called. The bottom line for him is this: if you trust him protecting your quarterback within 2 seasons, he's a solid pick. You did a good job. Way to go, Dan Morgan. And I view his success probability about 70%. He has all the tools. He has the frame. He has all the backing, and he's going to get plenty of opportunities and reps, especially this first year. Lee Hunter, Panthers pickings round 2. Lee Hunter, the defensive tackle from Texas Tech, I gave him a B, a little higher than Freeling, just for the fact that he's going to have a clear role. He's not here to make a whole bunch of big sacks. He's here to make everything else work. He's going to be a true plug play inside defensive lineman, and he has shown the ability to be a great run stuffer. In college, his grade was at 84.5 and 96th percentile in terms of stopping the run. For him, it's about consistency. How well is he going to be able to hold up against NFL double teams? Is he going to be able to maintain that leverage? And is he going to be able to create some interior push? He's going to have a great partner in crime with Derek Brown inside, and he's going to have a lot of opportunities to get some of those one-on-ones. And when looking at all sorts of message boards for Texas Tech, plenty of their fans believe that he could be potentially a 3-tech. I don't see that in his future, but he could be a guy who does an excellent job of collapsing the pocket and getting a handful of sacks throughout the years by just pushing a center or a guard to the quarterback and having a free lane as a rusher. For him, the timeline early on is early run rotation. Functionally, you want him to be able to absorb some of those blockers and keep the linebackers clean and healthy, especially with Lloyd in the middle. The new acquisition, is he going to be able to have clear lanes? Ask Ray Lewis on how important having your big defensive tackles take up those blockers. And then lastly, he becomes the true interior anchor, and you can allow Derek Brown to eat inside with pass and give him a little bit more one-on-one opportunities. Because unfortunately, for offenses that will play the Panthers, if Lee Hunter develops, you're going to have to double team Lee Hunter over Derek Brown. And it's crazy to say, but if you have a big man who can push one man consistently to your quarterback, there's no way you can't allow him to constantly do that. You're going to have to throw the center or throw the guard or whoever he's lined up on, and that gives Derek Brown more one-on-one opportunities. Bottom line, if the run defense improves, he's going to be part of the reasons. And for him, he's also at about a 70% for me. All the skills and roles that he's going to have are pretty clear and simple. It's just about for him executing it and continuing his conditioning. Chris Brazil, the 3rd-round pick for the Panthers, I gave him a B+ for the organization in terms of a grade. And this is where he has a value meets the need. He's going to bring that vertical pressure. He's going to be able to play a true X receiver. From his time in college, he had over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, 16.5 yards per catch. Big receiver who can take the top off the defense. By no means is he Randy Moss, but he's going to allow Bryce Young in the offense to be a lot more vertical like they wanted to do. Jalen Coker did an awesome job, but he's not a true burner. Chris is. He's going to be able to show that spacing. But in the NFL, he's going to have to show not only just the vertical speed, but can he win on those contested catches? Can he expand his route tree? Corners can't just constantly have him cannot have to be worried about other things other than him just running by people. And can he handle physical coverage? So either corners are going to bail early or they're going to press and slow him down and just get him out of his route tree. So the timeline for him is, hey, do what you do best and take a couple opportunities and take the top off the defense, especially during camp. Nextly is he a true enough deep threat to where safeties have to bail early and help out? And that's going to open up the middle, which has been a big area of concern for the Panthers. And then reliably long term, does he develop as the true number two behind McMillan and allow Coker to be another threat on the outside? Because now you have Coker, McMillan, and Brazil, who are all 6'3" and above, and you still have XL, who's still going to be on the roster. So big receiving room, who with all of them have some athletic, all of them have a lot of athletic ability. As a fan, I want you to watch is, do the defensive backs, are they constantly being pressed, and are they turning consistently and running? How much of a threat when he's in the game? Because even though he may not be the pulse receiver McMillan is, just just the threat of him running by people, that's going to have the corners have to respect that, and hopefully that allows everything else to be open underneath. Um, I view his probability of success in about a 60%, just mainly because, again, you're asking him to do a role he did in Tennessee, which always makes the rookie year a lot easier. But the thing is, some of that speed will be negated because this is the NFL. A lot of guys are fast, a lot of guys. And if he truly was world breaking speed, he would have been drafted a lot sooner. So does that translate? Can he develop some of the contested catch ability, and can he defeat press coverage? So round 4, Will Lee. I view his grade as a C plus. He's developmental, but has those traits that the Panthers clearly liked. During his time at Texas A&M, he had plenty of flashes, but long-term consistency just wasn't there. He needs to be able to tackle reliably as a corner, especially even in zone. You're viewing everything. You have to trust your eyes, and once you see it, you've got to pull your trigger. Um, Turning up on breakups and interceptions. Didn't have a whole lot of interceptions at Texas A&M, and he was able to get beat quite a few times because of his eye discipline. So as a rookie, hopefully Aviro in his staff can help him and allow him to be, allows himself to be coached up early on. Hopefully he's able to contribute through special teams. And then as the season comes along, when he's in the game, he's not an immediate liability. And then lastly, hopefully by the end of this year, he becomes the starting corner next to Horn. What you want to watch is, our quarterbacks continuously throwing his way? Or as the season goes along, do they layer their throws? Meaning this, just because a young corner's in the game, that doesn't necessarily mean that the quarterback's going to throw it to him immediately. Obviously, there's a scheme, there's a play call, so on and so forth. But does he get beat with his eyes with double moves? And does he allow the patience and coaching to go through? A lot of times DBs get beat not even because of their athletic ability, but because their eyes are so raw that everything looks immediately, and they hesitate and start getting jumpy. Hopefully Lee can allow his athletic ability to some leeway, let everything come to him, and then he trusts his instincts. If he's not the weak link, the pick worked. Unfortunately, I put this at about a 45% because he's going to get those opportunities early on in camp, but he's not penciled in to even be the number 3 corner right now. So when he's in the game, hopefully he's watching the tape, studying, contributing on special teams, and eventually trying to make a name for himself when he is in the game. Round 5, Sam Hike, center from Kansas State. I put him at a B because it solves the interior center position. He's going to be able to compete, start early. I project him as the starting center for next year. And it's just a clear need/stability pick. In college, 0 sacks allowed, 0 quarterback hits. solid center interior line play at his time as Kent State, especially when he played against Lee Hunter, another guy who we talked about earlier. So it's going to be interesting to see how well he does. He can convert power really well, but does he allow some of the finesse pass rushers to sit back, or does he get beat a couple times? Um, Even through, and this was a really impressive. Out of 759 snaps, he only gave up 7 pressures. So centers don't get noticed when they're good because, hey, that means you're doing your job. You're calling out the defense, you're calling out the line of protection, so on and so forth. But the entire offense feels when they're not. So for Sam, he's going to have to, again, how does he handle NFL strength? Does he control the protections and does he stay composed? There's going to be a lot of guys, especially in this division, who are pretty decent interior rushers, and hopefully by the end of the camp, his name gets penciled in and he's a clear starter. Timeline for him is starting on. He's competing, showing his ability and skill set. Functionally, he's able to not only start, but just start to control protections and dictate, and the center looking around and scanning who's coming, who's going, so on and so forth. And then lastly, long-term impact is he starts for next season. Not only this season, but he's the long-term penciled in starter. So what to watch for? Pretty simple. Do interior rushers get in Bryce Young's face? Does Bryce Young, and for Bryce Young's size, unfortunately, batted passes are always going to be a thing, but does he get pressure in his face consistently and has to move around, or is he able to step into throws in the middle or on a deep route and have his feet, his face, everything else protected? Bottom line, if he's stable, the pick plays paid off, and I view this at a 70%. Zakee Wheatley safety, and I graded this as a B plus because it's about versatility. Zakee played so many positions and was able to fly around during his time in college. And so for him, he had good production and was able to grow throughout his time. Now for him, it's about finishing those plays, creating more turnovers, and staying disciplined. On the back end, again, all DBs have to be able to trust their eyes, and some of them eventually do and others don't. But for Zakee, can he trust what he sees and what the coaches are asking him to do? For his timeline, contribute early in special teams. Then as the season goes along, he turns into a multi-role depth player. He gets in on different situations, on those dime or nickel packages, maybe even as the third safety. And then lastly, he becomes a starter, hopefully by next season. And him and Moynihan are two big safeties who can deliver the wood on a Sunday. For you as a fan, you need to watch for is when he's in the game, does he only play one position, or is he, actually showing some of that versatility he did in college? That just means that not only does he understand the defense, but everybody trusts him to be in the right position. But the bottom line for him is if he keeps popping up in different ways, he's developing. He trusts. He earns the trust of his teammates, his coaches, and some confidence. So the probability of this, I view at 55%. And it's part of it's going to be how many opportunities does he get? Does he do a good job of taking everything in, and does he capitalize on the plays when he is in the game? Lastly, linebacker Jackson Kuarch from University of Ohio. I put this as a D, and this was a stretch pick. In no offense to him, kind of a long shot. Did have some production there at his time at Miami of Ohio, but for him, it's going to be, does he make the roster? Does he contribute on special teams? Does he earn some defensive reps? For the timeline, again, early on, he has to make the roster. 7th round picks, they don't always do. There's nothing that guarantees him to make that roster. So obviously, does he make it? How does he make it? Functionally, he becomes a depth in special teams player. Okay. And then lastly, the impact for him is I consider a win if he becomes a functional linebacker that rotates in a third or even fourth guy. So a backup to either position. And anything more than that, I'll be ecstatic for. Could he be starting linebacker? Absolutely. I mean, Dan Morgan obviously selected him, saw something play. He selected a linebacker, so he knows exactly what to look for. But who knows what the future holds? So for uh, for Jackson, is he on the special teams? Does he make the roster? Sorry, is he on special teams? Does he get in a few defensive plays throughout the game? That means he's earning it, all of it. As a 7th round pick, the thing that you know for a fact is if he's playing, that means that he's earned every single thing he's gotten. So, bottom line, making the roster, that's a success for him. Anything that other than that, it's hey, we have a contributor on our team. Probability of that, unfortunately, is going to be below 30%. It's just hard. The stats say it, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. So, what are my final thoughts? Like, I just went over all these players, but if you're listening and are a huge Panthers fan, just understand this draft didn't win the headlines. But that's the point. Don't be sad about that. That's the point. Carolina didn't just chase, they didn't chase flash. They're building a structure. They made their playoffs last year, and now it's building upon that. This draft, honestly, it felt like a nice pair of warm socks during Christmas, where in as of right now, you're not really excited about it. You know there's some function to it, but it's not a brand new car. It's nothing, too sexy or flashy. It's hey, something fundamental. But then once it gets cold, where in Carolina wants to play football when it gets really, really cold, because that means you're in January and hopefully February, you're gonna be so glad that you have the nice pair of warm socks. Imagine this. The Panthers do a better job of protecting Bryce Young this year. Their O line and D line are moving teams against their will. And the players that they've added either create some burst, another opportunity of playmaking, or just more intimidation on the defense. That is a win for this Panthers. And this draft class can absolutely do that. I One of the last things I want you to think about is good draft classes don't always create stars. They eliminate problems on the roster. And success isn't about having no weaknesses. It's about not breaking when something does go wrong. And if you start seeing this football season, if you start seeing that during this football season, then this draft class did exactly what it's supposed to do. And Dan Morgan and the organization deserve all the props and respect in the world. Um, I hope that you take it all in. I'm excited for the 2026 football season for the Panthers. I know for a fact they're going to compete for the division again. They're going to have an opportunity, and it's really cool to see. So if you want more breakdowns like this, evaluations, and not just quick hitter reactions, obviously the draft was a couple of days ago. Just make sure to like and hit that subscribe button. And let me know in the comments this. What Panthers pick are you excited most about? Or is there a player that you're kind of going to be watching a lot more closely this year? So, hey, hope you enjoyed this episode. Take care. Have a wonderful day. Peace.